From the free fall of the creators of Batman Arkham into the abyss of live service, a rebellious and delinquent child was born that will probably change the future of the Rocksteady Studio forever. Hello everyone and welcome to 24 Theory. Before starting the video, make sure to smash that subscribe button to support me. Well, without waiting, let's get into the video. Rocksteady Studio evokes important things for us gamers. The team that started with the critically acclaimed first-person shooter Urban Chaos has taken an unexpected turn to deliver an unforgettable, groundbreaking, and fantastical trilogy centered around the character of Batman and the universe of Batman the Animated Series. The British team can be described by many different titles, but to be honest, I know them by their courage. And it was precisely because of this courage that during the last 10 years, the games of the mentioned studio were released with different margin. From Batman Arkham City and its shocking and controversial ending to Batman Arkham Knight with its controversial and memorable story, and now the game's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is still lacking no matter how much we say about its edges. Now, 8 years after the release of Batman Arkham Knight, Suicide Squad has been released. Now we have reached the day of judging the latest Rocksteady product. The story of Suicide Squad follows several years after the events of Arkham Knight. Batman, whose secret identity was revealed at the end of Arkham Knight, and the world learned that he was none other than Bruce Wayne. Now, thanks to Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman, known as metahumans in the Arkham world, is out of his cave, came out and formed the Justice League with these people. However, the Justice League soon faces the biggest possible challenge. A space force under the leadership of Brainiac enters the orbit of the Earth and the city of Metropolis for the purpose of negotiation. The entry of members of the Justice League into Brainiac's spaceship to negotiate and defeat them, and the transformation of Superman, Batman, and Green Lantern into Brainiac's sworn soldiers is the same. Wonder Woman and the Flash escape Brainiac's soldiers, but do they have the strength to defeat the strongest and smartest people on Earth who have now become Brainiac's soldiers? Here, Amanda Waller of Argus returns to the place where it all began, Arkham Asylum. By choosing 4 criminals who were humiliated by the same members of the Justice League, Waller sends them on a strange operation to save the world. Task Force X's mission statement is simple and clear: they must kill the Justice League. Although the story of the game is one of the strengths of the work, it also contains one of the weaknesses of the game. At the very beginning, we have to consider the fact that Suicide Squad is a video game in the looter shooter genre, a genre in which storytelling is never the main priority. But fortunately, we can say that Suicide Squad succeeds in telling a focused and high-quality story among the shooters that have been released in recent years. As you probably know, there are important things that must be observed in the narration of Suicide Squad stories, whether in the medium of comics, cinema, television, or video games. Sending low-level and unfamiliar criminals like Polka Dot Man and Bloodsport to an impossible mission, along with mocking the unattainable heroes of the Justice League and trying to reduce them to the level of Suicide Squad criminals, which the Peacemaker series is a clear example of, are things that are always in the stories of this or seen in the collection. And if we don't see these characteristics in the stories of this collection, it's as if something is missing. Fortunately or unfortunately, the Suicide Squad game is completely faithful to the source of its adaptation, and in this game, a full-fledged Suicide Squad story is defined. Why unfortunately? Because the game never holds back its fists and is extremely embarrassed by our beloved heroes. When we look at such a category from an emotional point of view, it is definitely uncomfortable for us. And when we check it from a technical point of view, we will see that exactly such things have been implemented in the source of the game adaptation, and we cannot criticize the game Suicide Squad for such a subject. The story of the game, despite its simple and straightforward theme, is accompanied by many twists and turns and fulfills the kind of storytelling that we expect from Rocksteady Studio. But the weak point of the game is the lack of proper drama weight when facing a series of members of the Justice League. In this game, we face Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, and Superman respectively. The point here is that the encounter with Flash and Green Lantern has a very good preparation or build-up from the perspective of drama. And at the time of the beginning of the boss fight, the emotional basis and drama is completely defined for the battle. The Flash constantly keeps the rivalry alive with these people by humiliating and dealing with the Suicide Squad, and on the other hand, Green Lantern keeps the drama between the two characters alive by threatening the Deadshot family and pouring gasoline on the fire of their rivalry. Unfortunately, such an issue is not true for the battle with Batman and Superman, especially Superman, who, except for one or two cutscenes, does not appear at all during the game, and we only see him during the final fight. It's true that the main characters and members of the Justice League are well paid thanks to the game's top-notch dialogue writing. The good writing of the game, along with the environmental storytelling through audio files and things like that, in addition to the successful payment of the characters. They also advance the world building of Arkham and form the appropriate story consistency for the work we are discussing. The narration of a mysterious story with first-class direction and cutscenes, appropriate treatment of the main and secondary characters, along with loyalty to the story of the Arkham world and advancing it, are the things that have given the proper consistency to the story of this game. Of course, we should not forget that the story of the game will be completed during a process of probably 12 months, and through the release of seasonal and free content. But this season number 0 of the game is accompanied by a suitable narrative, and thanks to the correct implementation of Rocksteady Studios standards in the narration of the story. The game, from the point of view of storytelling, it is really a head and neck higher than the products of the same style that have been published in recent years. Exploring the environment and fighting with all kinds of enemies make the anatomy of the gameplay. The player has the option to choose a character from King Shark, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and Deadshot, move the game forward and change the desired character at the desired time. From the very beginning of the game, the gamer gets to know the movement systems of the characters. Thanks to the specific movement mechanisms of each of the characters and the use of a different series of weapons by each of them, there are significant differences between the way of experiencing the game with each of these characters. For example, Captain Boomerang can only use shotguns, machine guns, and sniper rifles, while Harley Quinn only has the ability to use waist and heavy rifles. Such an issue, along with the existence of completely different movement systems of the characters and their skill tree, makes the gameplay of each member of the Suicide Squad completely unique. Fortunately, there is an upgrade and build system for the character, which allows the gamer to create the desired build and move the game forward by touching every single detail of the items and powers of his character. The movement and shooting mechanisms in the game are designed to be extremely entertaining and make Suicide Squad an addictive experience. Thanks to the first-class gunplay of the game, the missions with little variety that become repetitive after a few hours become bearable. But can the gunplay and the very entertaining process of the game cover the repetition of the game experience even after 200 hours of experience? Definitely not. Both the main storyline and the side missions given to us by a series of secondary characters generally have the same structure, and this is definitely the biggest problem of the game. Of course, in the meantime, Riddler's challenges and his puzzles have come to Suicide Squad from the Arkham trilogy, but still the variety of the game's stages is still very low, and the expectations for the contents of the season that will be released in less than a month are really high. After finishing the storyline, the game enters the in-game mode and presents its live service features. Gamers can prepare themselves for the start of the next chapter of story content by completing various missions and obtaining various loots. The high variety of guns and the great feeling that each of them gives when firing them, combined with the variety of enemies to hunt down and the different movement systems to find for each character, make for a challenging process to master. It is hard but very enjoyable. The core of the game's combat is designed exactly like the Batman Arkham series, and in addition to attacking and counter-attacking, the player must destroy a certain number of enemies without getting hit in order to activate his special ability. Rocksteady has successfully translated the free-flow system of Batman Arkham battles into the third-person shooter genre. All these things, along with the attractive reward that each of the side missions and in-game provides to the player, make the game experience addictive and keep the gamer on the game. After finishing the game and entering the in-game mode, a cycle consisting of participating in the generally repetitive missions of the game, enjoying the gunplay and dopamine-making gameplay of the game, obtaining new guns with which the pleasure of killing the enemies is infinitely sweet, and repeating this cycle again makes an addictive process. Its Achilles heel is its highly repetitive missions. Another problem of the game that should be mentioned is the unfair price of the items in the game store. Why should a game that costs $70 have a paid battle pass? This unfair pricing is undoubtedly a weakness that Rocksteady should think about. From the audio and visual point of view, we are dealing with a first-class product. Thanks to the return of almost everyone who worked on the artistic and technical effects of the Batman trilogy, the first-class experience expected from Rocksteady has been provided to players. David Hugo, who used to be the art director of the Arkham trilogy, has now done the art direction of Suicide Squad, and the game is excellent in terms of art and visual effects. This beauty is reflected in the complex, admirable, and atmospheric design of Metropolis City, and from the Art Deco architecture to the diversity of the design of different areas of the city, along with the ambient music that is constantly playing in the background of the Metropolis tour. Exploring the city is a captivating, atmospheric, and enjoyable experience. Converts just like Gotham from Arkham Knight. The city of Metropolis undergoes serious changes during the progression of the game's story and acquires its own identity. Exactly the opposite of the soulless Gotham we saw last year in Gotham Knights. Environmental storytelling along with the special identity of Metropolis has made the first serious appearance of this city in Medium game a special event. The design of the game is admirable not only from an artistic point of view, but also from a technical point of view. In Suicide Squad, we are dealing with an environment where 4 players can play completely online in the open world map of our world. And the interesting thing is that the game runs at a frame rate of 60, and we are dealing with a highly optimized product. In addition to all these things, the game has a new and admirable system of facial animation, the formation of certain situations of humor based on body language. And in a way, Rocksteady shows its talent in the technical and artistic effects of the game. Of course, behind the admirable effects of the game, a series of serious weaknesses are also hidden. The game interface is undoubtedly one of the biggest disappointing components of this game. There are moments in the game where the screen becomes so crowded that you can never tell the difference between your companions and your enemy. Both the user interface of the menus and the in-game user interface are much weaker and disappointing than what Rocksteady designed in the Arkham trilogy. The voice acting, music, and dubbing in Suicide Squad are perfect. Once again, we have a fantastic performance by Kevin Conroy, who shows a wide range of different effects of the character of Batman, Bruce Wayne. From the fragile and human reflection of Batman to the very frightening image of the evil Dark Knight, who now uses the gas of terror. It is possible thanks to the flawless performance of the legendary Conroy. On the other hand, the wonderful performance of the characters of King Shark, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and Deadshot, combined with the first-class writing and the unique composition of Nick Arend, who also returned from the Arkham trilogy, make the sound effects of Suicide Squad like the illustrations. The first grade is presented to the audience. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a challenging and very entertaining video game. A work of luther shooter that works very well in storytelling, and its addictive gameplay cycle along with excellent gunplay and very good loot that is in the side missions and in game of the game is definitely attractive to fans of this genre. Despite the extremely repetitive main and side missions that even the fun of the game loses color over time due to the coverage of the repetition of these missions, Suicide Squad succeeds in the end to create a suitable infrastructure for providing long-term live service content. And compared to video games such as Avengers, Anthem, Gotham Knights, Redfall, and Outriders, Suicide Squad is the best luther third-person shooter that has been available to the audience in recent years. If you expect a story-driven experience like the Arkham trilogy from this game, at least wait until next winter for the free story-driven content of the first 4 seasons of the game to be released. Otherwise, the Suicide Squad experience is only recommended for serious luther shooter fans who are familiar with the DC universe. And that's it. I hope this video was useful for you. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts. As always, until next time, take it easy.